We're gonna make an enormous batch of sauerkraut today. And here is our receptacle. This is a 5-gallon pickle jar made by a company called Owens, Illinois, and you can see their little symbol right there. It's an I inside of an O. It's a huge pickle jar. We used to hang out probably in a store. People used to buy pickles out of it. Today we're gonna see how far we can fill it up with cabbage to make the big batch. In order to make sauerkraut, we're gonna need a bunch of cabbage, and I know where to find some. We actually had a really nice crop of cabbage this year because we were able to protect the cabbage from all the caterpillars. And so we have cabbage, which is great. When you read any directions for making sauerkraut, one of the first things you'll see in the recipe or the directions is to get the highest quality cabbage that you can find. Well, we know we've got that because we've been supervising this cabbage from the time it was just little plants. I sent Justice to the barn to get a compost bucket that I forgot this morning, and I think he got a little more than he bargained for. He has about 30 chickens, 20 ducks, and 7 geese following him. Okay, so we ended up with 8 kind of medium cabbages. These are our large cabbages. And then we have these 2 just tiny purple cabbages, which will just provide a little layer of color in the middle. You'll see how that looks. The process of making sauerkraut is basically always the same. You take fresh, unbruised cabbage, slice it thinly, and salt it. Salt it to taste. You can look at weights and percentages, but I've never gone wrong with salting my sauerkraut to taste. Next, you have to work the cabbage. This starts the process of pulling a brine out of the cabbage leaves. Then you pound the cabbage down into your receptacle to remove as much air as possible. All right, 1 cabbage head down, 7, 8, 9 more to go, 7 big ones. I don't think we're gonna be able to completely fill this jar. And I like to slice my sauerkraut long and thin, so I just go from one end to another. Now, you may some people will get kind of turned off when I say salt your sauerkraut to taste and think, oh, well, what if you don't use enough salt and it rots? There's this guy named Sandor Katz, and he's kind of the vegetable fermenting guru. And he says that no one has ever died. There's not a single documented case of someone dying from fermented vegetables. Now, I believe that's true. I have, however, found a case of botulism that was attributed to kimchi. The fact is, fermenting vegetables at home is probably one of the safest things that you can do as far as food prep goes. And you're much more likely to get sick from canned foods, honestly. Plus, I've never had a batch go bad, and I've never measured my salt. That's what Sandor Katz recommends. He says salt to taste, and you'll have great results that you're going to be happy with, as well as safe results. And it's very important to be sanitary in this process, but it's also important to not worry about it. I did bleach this jar. This jar has been a lantern with candles in it. It's been an aquarium. What else have we put in there, kids? Last it had caterpillars living in it, tent caterpillars. So we did bleach the jar. The fact is, you're actually putting bacteria in here. If this was all sterile, it wouldn't become sauerkraut. The bacteria are already here on the cabbage. They're going into the jar, and the right ones, because of the anaerobic environment and soon to be acidic environment, the right bacteria are gonna flourish and take over and then protect us from other bacteria. That's how it works. What did you find?
A snail.
That's the smallest snail I have ever seen. It's right there. It's a tiny little shell. That's amazing. I recommend using your hands for smaller batches. Because we have a big batch and we're working in multiple bowls, a pounder can be helpful. I've heard stories actually from YouTube subscribers who said when they grew up in the towns they lived in, not in this country, I think Eastern Europe, they would actually the kids would tread the sauerkraut in these giant barrels. They would actually stomp it in with their feet. I would love to do a batch that big. We have a Cabbage Patch Baby as the guest of honor.
He's trying to help.
Should I put this juice part in too?
Yeah, I'll put it in. Very important.
I think it will eat all the cabbage. I'm just going to get a pretty big leaf and let it live on it.
That's just 2 cabbages down. We've got a bunch more to go, so I'm going to quit talking and get to work. You kids ready to rock and roll?
Yeah,
Knock the rest of these
Can I
out?
use one of the bowls?
We may need to add in another bowl because that's the slowest part of the process. I'm on the last cabbage. My hands have gotten sore from all the squeezing and kneading and smashing. I had a great team, and most of them have disappeared. They're all still interested, but they worked on this with me for probably almost 2 hours, most of the kids. So the kids just found a monarch caterpillar on our milkweed, which is really exciting because we've been watching for them and they've been checking, but Justice went out and he found one just a couple minutes ago. All right, it's going into the big jar. The last cabbage. I'm smashing this down to try to remove the airspace there. And if you look closely, you can see that this brine comes up. I don't know if you can see it on camera. The brine comes up to about right here. You do have to have all the cabbage covered with brine, but you don't today. I'm going to check back on it tomorrow and make sure there's enough brine. If there's not, I'll mix up like a 5% saline solution, pour a little in, but I'm pretty confident that it'll come up and cover it. I'm just cleaning out the inside of my jar. Whoa, that's heavy. And I'll clean off the outside of the jar. I do need to find some weights that will fit in here and hold this down. I think I'll probably just use mason jars, like as many as I can fit down in there with water in them. But for today, I'm gonna just cover it with a coffee filter, and that is done. And I think this is an awesome project. Well done by the kids and myself. I'm actually gonna put this on top of the fridge if I can get it up there. Oh, just so I don't forget about it. Not as if I could forget about it. Anyway, folks, it's been another great day on the homestead. Thanks for joining us for this really fun goal. What was I gonna call it? Dream sauerkraut project. There it is. We'll let you know how it goes.